something like, Gavin de Becker's The Gift of Fear, and you understand the problems that you're dealing with. You learn how to become situationally aware of knowing, of paying attention to what you're paying attention to. Of maybe, a good example would be like when I lived in Phoenix. There were some fantastic street tacos out there on the west side. I mean, just food that would melt in your mouth. I went there at 1 o'clock on a Saturday afternoon, not, 1 o'clock on a Sunday morning, because there's a big difference in the neighborhood between those two times. Learning to do stuff like that. That's fundamental. Secondly, having the tools with you to deal with what happens. So if that basic, simple things. Oh, it's night. Hey, a flashlight. Darn good idea. A couple of reasons why. Number one, it's a defensive tool. A bright flashlight in the eyes, there's 5 seconds worth of time you just gave yourself. Secondly, crooks, the people that crooks interact with, only 2 types of people with flashlights, cops and security guards, neither of which they want to deal with. Flashlight means, I know what I'm doing, go away. Number 3, pepper spray, knife, Kubotan, some kind of means to be able to give yourself an advantage, a leverage, gives you, to even the odds against the house a little bit. And fourthly, if you need one, a personal defensive firearm. Whatever. It's very interesting. Tom Gibbons is one of the best trainers in the world. He's the one who set up Tactical Conference this month. He is an absolute legend in the firearms community. He trains and used to train in Memphis, Tennessee. Memphis is a very, very bad town. It typically is in the top 10 per capita in murders for years now. And he's trained a bunch of people there. And his students are, at last count, I want to say 72-0-3, or I think that's 69-0-3. Okay? He's trained a whole bunch of people. 72 of them have gotten into gunfights, actual bang-bang gunfights. Okay? Of those 72, 69 came out on top. None of them lost, meaning none of them were shot. 3 of them forfeited. The only people that he's ever lost who he's trained were not armed when faced with an armed violent criminal, and they paid with their lives.
So just to play devil's advocate, why would pepper spray not be enough in one of these situations?
Because if the situation, let's say, okay, most of Tom Gibbons' students' encounters happened about 21 feet away, about 7 yards, 10 to 7 yards. Most civilian pepper sprays don't reach that far. You ever shot, I carry pepper spray. I've shot my trainer. I know exactly how far it goes. I can hit somebody in the face 5 yards, and that's pushing it. Somebody, we know as a human being, that person's dodgy. Whether or not we accept it or not, that's cultural and other stuff training. But we know, wait a minute, something wrong is there. And you felt it. Everybody's felt this. That person there's something wrong in the head with that guy. And we tend to then go, I'm going to go this way. I'm going to stay around him. And all of a sudden, he's 7 yards away. He pulls a gun. The only effective defensive tool at that range is another firearm.
So with the stats that you're quoting, how do we know that these situations would have turned bad? Like, how do we know?
That they turn into gunfights? I'm not sure I understand.
Yeah, gunfights or otherwise violent or threatening.
Because the number one thing you're taught in a firearms class is, okay, man, no problem. Here you go. Take it. There's my wallet. No big deal. A good friend of mine, Jack, has got this thing he calls the My Bad 20. It's a $20 bill, kept in the front of your wallet, a little coin pocket there. Oh, my bad, guy. Sorry. Back away. No big deal. That's ground into us at a DNA level. It's just what we do. It's how we think.
So in other
It's
words,
part and parcel.
you're ready to give up property to just
Sure.
move on some level.
And on every level.
No,
most state laws.
so
Yeah.
I lived in Johannesburg and Soweto in South Africa, which is like one of the most violent places in the
Oh yeah.
world
Ooh,
for
yeah.
a
That's
while.
wow. Yeah.
And part of what you were taught is you have like your throwaway wallet where you get, somebody sticks you up or you're in a carjacking or whatever, and you have like, here's my wallet, and you have the 20 in the wallet and not much else,
Sure.
but like you have that to give, and that's sort of part of the culture. No, so I totally get that, because you just need to be able to offer that up.
So what if that doesn't work?
It's a great question. In that setting, honestly, nothing would work. Honestly. There's a woman, and this is like getting into more personal details, but when we were living there, my husband wrote his first book, and he had a photograph taken for the jacket cover of the book. And it was not long before we left, and a couple weeks later, she was carjacked and murdered. And this happened all the time in South Africa. I mean, that was kind of the norm. I mean, honestly, like
No, I've got a good friend who's South African. I know.
So
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, you know the deal. Like, you pull up to a traffic light at night, and you actually don't pull up all the way because you have to be ready to somehow speed out or like pull out. So you always leave some distance between you and the car in front of you, so you have options.
Sure.
I mean, there's a lot of things that you have to learn about, like how to navigate that. And yeah.
Okay, so that's all that stuff we talked about. All that whole, gift of fear, situational awareness. If he does this, I do that. What's that car over there doing? Pay attention to what you're paying attention to. Absolutely. Good. I'm glad you're doing that. That's totally awesome. You are far and above ahead of 90% of the populace, 95.
Although I would say, like, honestly, like, if those basic things didn't work, having a gun would not have saved me. I mean, honestly, like, that was the situation. Like, it was so bad that, like, if I couldn't get over,
Yeah, and I've seen videos from that. Yeah, I mean, in fact, there was one I actually blogged about it, and I said, welcome to worst case scenario land, population U. Because it was one of those carjackings. It was car pulled up, 3 guys pulled out, guns right at him, tossed the lady out, drove off in the car. Literally as long as it took me to tell you that. There's nothing I could have done. Yeah. There's nothing my friends who are doing stuff that I can't talk about could have done. Yeah. Sometimes, it's kind of like, it's what's his name? The guy who wrote The Joy of Running. He died of a heart attack. You can do all this stuff. You can do all the right things. And sometimes just go, crap. Well, oops. But you want to hedge your bets. You want to try and cheat the house a little bit. Because it's a line from Tom Gibbons, actually. It says, yes, the odds are long, but the stakes are literally mortal.
Is it that you want to cheat the house, or you want to feel like you can cheat the house?
Does it matter?
Well, I mean, on some level it does. Right?
Well, yes. I mean, it's a little bit of both. You want to, because I'll give you a great, and with this from my friend Tam, who's a really interesting individual. She is a writer for SWAT magazine, is the handgun editor of Shooting Illustrated. She had a wonderful Zen koan on her blog. Said, the student came to the master and said, "Master, I have heard reports of this bandit in the village, and I've trained my whole life to stop him. I am on the lookout for him wherever I go. I have prepared myself. I am ready to fight him, and yet he only attacks the weak. He doesn't attack me. Why, master?" Mm-hmm. The master smiled, and the student was enlightened. So it's that preparation, it's that knowledge, it's that, hey, I'm paying attention, I'm watching out, I have a flashlight. I'm engaging with the people around me, I notice that